السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، فها نحن هنا حيث أمرنا إن شاء الله لنتدارس سويا كتاب الله جل جلاله وتقدست أسماؤه، وخصيصا الآية 13 من سورة ياسين. ولدينا القارئ المشهور الذي لا يعرفه أحد، مصعب. تفضل مأجورا مشكورا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين.
All right, and present to them an example, the people of the city, when the messengers came to it. When we sent to them 2, but they denied them, so we strengthened them with a 3rd, and they said, indeed, we are messengers to you. They said, you are not but human beings like us, and the most merciful has not revealed a thing. You are only telling lies. They said, our Lord knows that we are messengers to you, and we are not responsible except for clear notification. The Sheikh Abdul Rahman bin Nasir al-Sa'di alayhi rahmatullah says in commenting on these ayat, أي واضرب لهؤلاء المكذبين برسالتك الرادين لدعوتك مثلا يعتبرون به ويكون لهم موعظة إن وفقوا للخير. I'm just turning off the Wi-Fi everywhere. Here we go. So strike for them the similitude of these deniers of the messengers, those who are rejecting your invitation. Give them an example through which they can reflect, and it will be an admonishment for them if they are granted success towards goodness. وَذَلِكَ الْمَثَلُ, and that similitude or that example is none but أصحاب القرية. أصحاب القرية, the people of the city or the people of the village. وَمَا جَرَى مِنْهُمْ مِنَ التَّكْذِيبِ لِرُسُلِ اللَّهِ وَمَا جَرَى عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ عُقُبَتِهِ وَنَكَالِهِ, and what happened to them in regards to their denying of their the messengers of Allah, and then what happened as a result in terms of their punishment and their torment. وَتَعْيِينُ تِلْكَ الْقَرْيَةِ لَوْ كَانَ فِيهِ فَائِدَةٌ لَعَيَّنَهَا اللَّهُ. Specifying the name of that city or village, had it been beneficial, had there been any benefit in the specification, then Allah would have specified it. فالتعرض لذلك وما أشبه من باب التكلف والتكلم بلا علم. It's a very important principle. So trying to be particular or nuanced or intricate about discussing what city it is or anything like that falls under you basically burdening yourself and speaking without knowledge. So there are certain things that Allah Azza wa Jal left broad and ambiguous, and you leave them broad and ambiguous. And the scholars say this is ilmun la yanfa. This is the type of knowledge that does not benefit. You identifying what city it is completely irrelevant to the moral of the story. Capish? ولهذا إذا تكلم أحد في مثل هذه الأمور, that's why when someone speaks about those matters, تجد عنده من الخبط والخلط والاختلاف الذي لا يستقر له قرار ما تعرف به أن طريق العلم الصحيح الوقوف مع الحقائق وترك التعرض لما لا فائدة فيه. So if you see someone actually trying to speak about those matters, you will find the amount of uh, confusion and mixing and differing, that which does not lead you to any reasonable answers. And you will know that through that the true path of knowledge is knowing where to stop and abandoning and refraining from uh, addressing that which has no benefit in it. وبذلك تزكو النفس ويزيد العلم من حيث يظن الجاهل أن زيادته بذكر الأقوال التي لا دليل عليها. And with this, the soul purifies, gets purified, and knowledge increases. Whereas the ignorant person thinks that the increase will come from him mentioning all types of opinions that have no evidence for them. ولا حجة عليها, and there's no proof for it. ولا يحصل منها من الفائدة إلا تشويش الذهن واعتياد الأمور المشكوك فيها. And there's no benefit that you will get except that you will be distracted. You'll be distracted and you just become familiar with matters that are doubtful. Basically, don't waste your time. Anytime there are things that Allah did not mention in detail, leave them as they are. It's from the wisdom of Allah that He did not give us more details. والشاهد أن هذه القرية جعلها الله مثلا للمخاطبين. The point of emphasis here is that Allah has made this city or this village, Allah has made it as an example for the people that are being addressed. إذ جاءها المرسلون من الله تعالى, when the messengers came to them from Allah, يأمرونهم بعبادة الله وحده وإخلاص الدين له وإخلاص الدين له. They were commanding them to worship Allah alone and to be sincere to Him in their religion. وَيَنْهَوْنَهُمْ عَنِ الشِّرْكِ وَالْمَعَاصِي, and they were prohibiting them and forbidding them from engaging in polytheism, in ascribing partners unto Allah, and from sinfulness in general. إِذْ أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهِمْ اثْنَيْنِ فَكَذَّبُوهُمَا فَعَزَّزْنَا بِثَالِثٍ أي قويناهما بثالث, meaning we strengthened them with the third one. فَصَارُوا ثَلَاثَةَ رُسُلٍ, so they became 3 messengers. اعتناء من الله بهم, then this is like a special care that Allah was giving those people. He sent them 3 messengers. وإقامة للحجة بتوالي الرسل إليهم, and it's strengthening the proof that Allah is establishing against them by giving them consecutive back-to-back messengers. فقالوا لهم إنا إليكم مرسلون, so they said to them, we are messengers sent on to you. فأجابوهم بالجواب الذي ما زال مشهورا عند من رد دعوة الرسل. الله المستعان, Allah المستعان. So they replied to them with the reply which remains to be infamous, remains to be notorious among those who reject the invitation of the messengers. What did they say? What is the most common reply that the kuffar would give? قالوا وما أنتم عفوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا. They said to them, you are not but human beings like us. أي فما الذي فضلكم علينا وخصكم من دوننا, so what made you favored over us and what made you special versus the rest of us? قالت الرسل لأممهم عفوا قالت الرسل, لأنه الرسل هي فاعل مرفوعة بالضمة, لأممهم إن نحن إلا بشر مثلكم. They said to them, we are none but humans like you. ولكن الله يمن على من يشاء من عباده. However, Allah bestows His special favors upon whom He wills from among His slaves. وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء أي أنكروا عموم الرسالة. These disbelievers also, they denied the generality of the messenger, of the message عفوا. ثم أنكروا أيضا المخاطبين لهم فقالوا إن أنتم إلا تكذبون. Then, so they first denied the message that they received, and then they denied the people addressing them, which are the messengers. They said, you are nothing but liars. You are nothing but liars. فقالت هؤلاء الرسل الثلاثة, so those 3 messengers said to them, ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون. Our Lord knows that we are messengers unto you. فلو كنا كاذبين لأظهر الله خزينا ولبادرنا بالعقوبة. Had we been liars, Allah would have exposed us and humiliated us, and He would have hastened our punishment. So when we tell you we are the messengers of Allah and you're denying, if we're lying against Allah, Allah Azza wa Jal will take revenge from us. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. And we are only responsible for the clear notification. أي البلاغ المبين الذي يحصل به توضيح الأمور المطلوب بيانها. Meaning the clear conveyance that brings about the clarification of the matters that require to be explained. وما عدا هذا من آيات الاقتراح أو من سرعة العذاب فليس إلينا. As for anything other than that, from the suggestive signs, meaning when the disbelievers say, we want to see this, we want Allah to speak to us directly, we want to see the angels, we want to see a book descend upon us from the sky, we want to see a ladder taken up to the heaven, all kinds of we want to see the qusur and anhar. They want the messenger to have castles and rivers and what have you. All of these are called ayatul iqtirah. These are the signs that the disbelievers are suggesting upon Allah. Like this is our prerequisite. If you do this, then we will believe. If you don't do this, then we will not believe. So whether those or those who hasten the punishment, they say, oh yeah, if you're really the message of Allah, let Allah bring the punishment now. Let Allah bring about the punishment now. Those matters, فَلَيْسَ إِلَيْنَا. These are not ours. وإنما وظيفتنا التي هي البلاغ المبين قمنا بها وبيناها لكم. Our duty, which is the clear notification and conveyance, we have fulfilled and we have explained for you. فإن اهتديتم, so if you are guided, فهو حظكم وتوفيقكم, it is then your good fortune and your success. وإن ضللتم فليس لنا من الأمر شيء, and if you're misguided, then we have nothing to do with the matter. طيب, Ayat 18 onwards, يا حج.
قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم. قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون.
Enough. Jazakallah khair. All right. So they said, indeed, we consider you a bad omen. If you do not desist, we will surely stone you, and they will surely touch you from us a painful punishment. They said, your omen is with yourselves. Is it because you were reminded? Rather, you are a transgressing people. And there came from the farthest end of the city a man running. He said, oh, my people, follow the messengers. Follow those who do not ask you of any payment, and they are rightly guided. And why should I not worship he who created me and to whom you will be returned? Should I take other than him false deities? While if the most merciful intends for me some adversity, their intercession will not avail me at all, nor can they save me. But let's read those before we continue. فقال أصحاب القرية لرسلهم. So the people of the city said to their respective messengers, إِنَّا تَطَيَّرْنَا بِكُمْ أَيْ لَمْ نَرَ عَلَى قُدُومِكُمْ عَلَيْنَا وَاتصَالِكُمْ بِنَا إِلَّا الشَّرِّ. All we have seen from your arrival and from your connection with you, or the connection with you, we have seen nothing but evil. وَهَذَا مِنْ أَعْجَبِ الْعَجَائِبِ. The Shaykh said, this is among the most wondrous of wondrous matters. From among the most wondrous of wonders. أن يجعل من قدم عليه بأجل نعمة ينعم الله بها على العباد. To make the one who's been bestowed upon by the greatest bounty that Allah bestows upon his slaves, وأجل كرامة يكرمهم بها, and the most noble honoring that Allah bestows upon them, وضرورتهم إليها فوق كل ضرورة, and their need for it is above any other need. قد قدم بحالة شر زادت على الشر الذي هم عليه واستشأموا بها. Subhanallah. They have turned it into an evil upon the evil that they were upon, and they used it as a bad omen. ولكن الخذلان وعدم التوفيق يصنع بصاحبه أعظم مما يصنع به عدوه. However, the deprivation and the lack of success does to its owner, does to its doer, greater than what his own enemy does to him. ثم توعدوهم فقالوا, then they even threatened the messengers and said, لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم أي لنقتلنكم رجما بالحجارة أشنع القتلات. يا ربي, meaning we will stone you with stones, with rocks, in the most abhorrent ways of killing. ولا يمسنكم منا عذاب أليم. فقالت لهم رسلهم طائركم معكم وهو ما معهم من الشرك والشر المقتضي لوقوع المكروه والنقمة وارتفاع المحبوب والنعمة. Actually, your bad omen is nothing but you, because of your associating partners with Allah, and the evil which necessitates the befalling of calamities and trials, and the removal of that which is loved and that which is bountiful. أئن ذكرتم أي بسبب أن ذكرناكم فيه صلاحكم وحظكم قلتم لنا ما قلتم. Is it because we reminded you about that which has your own good and your own fortune, that you have said to us what you have said? بل أنتم قوم مسرفون متجاوزون الحد. Rather, you are people who transgress, meaning you transgress against the limits. متجرهمون في قولكم, and you are also being abusive in your statement. فلم يزدهم دعاؤهم إلا نفورا واستكبارا. Subhanallah, their dua for them and their invitation for them only increased them in rebellion and in arrogance. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى حرصا على نصح قومه حين سمع ما دعت إليه الرسل وآمن به. So this man who came from the extreme, from the farthest end of the city, he came to them running out of keenness to advise his people when he heard what the messengers had invited them to. وآمن به, and he believed in them. وعلم ما يعني مأمون, if this happened from someone else who does not know, I would understand and say this brother is new to the channel, he doesn't know the protocol, he doesn't know that you don't ask questions in the middle of the class. But for you to do this, yaqi, that's like stabbing me in the heart with a big poisonous knife and watching my soul depart from my body, and then you laughing like a villain at my death. That's what it means for you to ask a question. حريشك, the drugs, يا أخي, leave off the drugs, يرحم أبوك. حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل عليك يا شيخ. فين كنا دحين؟ تفضل حل لي المشكلة بقى. حلل لي المشكلة يا مستر مأمون. حضرتك مش عارفين كنا فين وبنقول ايه. ماشي. وآمن به, he believed in what the da'wah was. وعلم ما رد به قوم عليهم, and he knows what his people responded to them. فقال لهم, so he said to them, يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين, فأمرهم باتباعهم ونصحهم على ذلك وشهد لهم بالرسالة. So he commanded them to follow the messengers, and he advised them in doing so, and he bore witness, he testified for the validity of the message. ثم ذكر تأييدا لما شهد به ودعا إليه. Then he mentioned as support, as means of support and reinforcement of what he is calling them to. اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا, follow those who do not ask you for wages, for a payment. أي اتبعوا من نصحكم نصحا يعود إليكم بالخير, follow the one whose advice will only bring about goodness for you. وليس يريد منكم أموالكم ولا أجرا على نصحه لكم وإرشاده, and they do not want your wealth, nor do they want a compensation or a payment for advising you and for guiding you. And this ayah, my brothers and sisters in Islam, this ayah is among the ayat that some of the scholars use to promote the opinion that it is not permissible for a caller to Islam to ask for a payment, in return for giving da'wah. This is one of the evidences used that it is not permissible for a person to call people to ask for money from the people in order to give da'wah. Now, there are different ways of looking at it. This means if you get invited by an entity and you say, I will give a lecture and I will charge, $1,000 per hour or per lecture, according to this opinion, this is haram and you're not allowed to do so. Now, if the people give you a hadiyah or a compensation for your effort that you as a caller to Islam, you're not looking for, you're not eager for, that's not your main goal, where this becomes your goal. A person says, okay, yallah, if I get invited to 5 different places, I'm going to make this much money. And now your mind is now about making money out of it. If your heart is not attached to the compensation, then you're all good. You're all good. If you get a compensation, a hadiyah, it's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to accept it. And some of the scholars say, even that you don't accept. Even that you don't accept. Just so that you can make that separation and distinction between calling to Allah and getting paid for it. Tamam? That's one scenario. The other scenario is that if you actually work for a da'wah organization where this is your full-time job, then there's no harm in you getting compensated for having a job where you give da'wah. That's not like you saying, I will only give a lecture if you pay me. If you don't pay me, I will not give a lecture. So it's always advised for the people in da'wah to do this fi sabilillah, yahtasibu indallah, to do this out of the goodness of their hearts and not to burden the organizers or the hosts with a lot of payment or a lot of money to be paid. Try to be easygoing. This doesn't mean that you have to suffer, because some organizers, may Allah guide them, they take advantage of a person who's kind and they send them on a flight that has 15 transits, where the guy will, by the time he makes it to his destination, he's half dead. طيب, you don't want to fly him in business class, fine, but at least fly him on a decent airline. So if you're an organizer, or if you ever organize, there's also a protocol for how to treat your guest, how to treat the speaker that you're inviting from his home country to come to your country. There's a way to go about this where you also honor your guest. This actually, lectures can be given about this. Lectures can be given about this issue, because there's a lot of confusion in the da'wah scene because of that. And a lot of people have turned it into a business where they take advantage of the donations of them. Yani some people, wallahi, donate while they themselves need the money. They give this money to the masjid. They give this money to the masjid or to the whatever you call it, the board of members, thinking that this will be used in a way that is pleasing to Allah. And then this money winds up going to, Maulana Sheikh, who basically charges $2,000 per lecture. Haram, ya akhi. Ya akhi, haram. Fear Allah, ya akhi. This money the people paid from the sweat of their foreheads for you to live a lavish lifestyle on the expense of the people. So anyways, this is one of the evidences that you're not supposed to ask for a compensation for you to give da'wah, because they said, اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا. They're not asking you for a payment. All right? And they don't want your money. And they don't want a return for advising you, guiding you. Do this for Allah's sake, because you want the ajr from Allah. فَهَذَا مُوجِبٌ. Why? Because this will make it more likely that the people will comply and respond to your invitation. فَهَذَا مُوجِبٌ لِاتِّبَاعِ مَنْ هَذَا وَصْفُهُ. This makes it important and necessary to follow the one whose quality is like that. But if the people knew that this guy, for him to come and speak, he charged $5,000, the people will be turned off. Like, إيش هذا يا شيخ؟ روح انقلع لك. روح أرجع بيتك. ارجع روح انقلع. بلاش كلام فاضي، بلاش فلسفه. انت اصلا جاي تاخذ فلوس ولا جاي تذكرنا بالله؟ ما يجتمعون. That has nothing to do with the discussion of teaching Quran and getting paid for it. That's a discussion for another day, inshallah. المهم بقي أن يقال, what's left is to say, فلعله يدعو ولا يأخذ أجرة ولكنه ليس على الحق. It could be that a person could say, okay, maybe he calls the people and he doesn't ask for payment, but he's not upon the truth. فدفع هذا الاحتراز. Allah eliminated this assumption and this possibility بقوله وهم مهتدون, and they are rightly guided. لأنهم لا يدعون إلا لما يشهد العقل صحيح بحسنه. They only invite to that which the sound mind directs you to its goodness. ولا ينهون إلا بما يشهد العقل الصحيح بقبحه. العقل الصحيح بقبحه. And they only They only forbid that which the sound mind basically acknowledges its ugliness. فكأن قومه لم يقبلوا نصحه بل عادوا لائمين له على اتباع الرسل وإخلاص الدين لله وحده. As though his people did not accept his advice, and they blamed him for following the messengers and for being sincere to Allah alone. So he said, وَمَا لِي لَا أَعْبُدُ الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. What is the matter? Why would I not worship? Why should I not worship He who created me and to whom you will be returned? أي وما المانع لي من عبادة من هو المستحق للعبادة. What is the preventer? What prevents me from worshiping the one who deserves to be worshipped? لأنه الذي فطرني وخلقني ورزقني, because He's the one who brought me into existence, who created me, and who provided me. وإليه مآل جميع الخلق فيجازيهم بأعمالهم. And to Him there's the return of all the creation. He will compensate them for their deeds. فالذي بيده الخلق والرزق والحكم بين العباد في الدنيا والآخرة. The one in whose hand is the creation, sustenance, and the judgment between the slaves in the dunya and in the akhirah, in the dunya and the life to come. هو الذي يستحق أن يعبد ويثنى عليه ويمجد. It is He who deserves to be worshipped and to be praised and to be glorified. دون من لا يملك نفعا ولا ضرا ولا عطاء ولا منعا ولا موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا. If you want to test your da'wah skills, if you want to test whether you are bilingual enough to give da'wah, then judge yourself if you're able to translate the sentence. I'll give you 20 seconds to assess yourself. Are you able to translate من لا يملك نفعا ولا ضرا ولا عطاء ولا منعا ولا موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا? Do you know, if you're an English speaking person, do you know what those Arabic words mean? And if you're an Arabic speaking person and you know some English, obviously that's why you're here in a class, do you know how to translate those particular words? Now, if you struggle in doing so, then let me tell you that you have a long way to go, buddy. But I'm happy that you're going to start soon or today, inshallah. Y'all need to start working on your bilingual skills. I've said it a million times and I will say it again. In this day and time, one of the most useful and valuable skills you could have is being bilingual. It's gold. It is absolute pure gold to be bilingual. From a corporate business point of view, from a social point of view, from a psychological point of view, from an Islamic da'wah point of view, the benefits that come along with you being bilingual are beyond what I can explain in the middle of a tafsir class. But it is something that you need to really focus on. Some of you are almost there, but not quite. It's about time that you take notes every time we give this class. I'm helping you to the best of my ability. May Allah forgive me for my shortcomings and for my lousy work. But still, I would say Allah decreed that I'm being used for your service, for you to by now, especially those of you who have been subscribed to this channel for years, by now you should be taking enough notes to be able to do this. You should be able to do what I'm doing to some degree. To some degree, at least I'm speaking pure language. Forget about the Islamic knowledge background. You know, you being able to understand the usul al-fiqh and usul al-tafsir and usul. This is a different science. But I'm speaking pure language. Do you know how to translate من لا يملك نفعا ولا ضرا ولا عطاء ولا منعا ولا موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا? Especially that some of those words come in other ayat, like the one in Surah Al-Furqan. على كل حال. So the one who does not own or possess, that's what mulk means. نفعا from نفع, benefit. ضرا, harm. عطاء, give away, a gift. عطاء is anything that you give. منعا, prevention. So they cannot benefit you, they cannot harm you. They cannot give you, they cannot restrict from you. They cannot give you, they cannot restrict from you. And موتا وحياة ونشورا is a no-brainer. They don't control death, they don't control life, and nushura is resurrection. They don't control resurrection. That's the condition of other than Allah, the false deities. ولهذا قال, أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا لأنه لا أحد يشفع عند الله إلا بإذنه, because no one can intercede with Allah except by his permission. فلا تغني شفاعتهم عني شيئا, so their intercession will not benefit me in any way. In any way. ولا هم ينقذون من الضر الذي أراده الله بي, and they will not be able to save me from the harm that Allah had intended for me, if ever. إني إذن, therefore I am, إن عبدت آلهة هذا وصفها, if I were to worship deities which description is as such, or whose description is as such, لفي ضلال مبين, فجمع في هذا الكلام بين نصحهم والشهادة للرسل بالرسالة والاهتداء. Then I'm in a manifest error, the Shaykh said, so he combined in the speech of his, combined the aspect of advising him and bearing testimony to the messengers with their message and their guidance, the guidance of these messengers, والإخبار بتعين عبادة الله وحده, and also informing them that it is incumbent on them to worship Allah alone. وذكر الأدلة عليها, and he mentioned the evidences to support that. وأن عبادة غيره عفوا باطلة, and that the worship of other than Allah is false. وذكر البراهين عليها والأخبار بضلال من عبدها. Then he mentioned the evidences for that and the information about the misguidance of those who worship these false deities. والإعلان بإيمانه جهرا مع خوفه شديد من قتلهم, and his public display, his public proclamation, there you go, his proclamation of Iman in spite of his major fear of them killing him. Because they already threatened the messengers. They said to the messengers, لَنَرْجُمَنَّكُمْ, we will stone you to death. وَلَا يَمَسَّنَّكُمْ مِنَّا عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, and you will taste an evil, severe punishment from us. They said that to the Rusul. What about a man who's coming from the farthest part of the other city, from the farthest part of the city? So obviously he's going to be killed also. فَقَالَ إِنِّي آمَنْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ فَاسْمَعُونَ, I have believed in your Lord, then indeed I have believed in you also, listen to me. Oh, you didn't read this ayah, so read ya Mussab.
إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين.
Enough. Shukran. طيب. So indeed I would then be in manifest error. Indeed I have believed in you, Lord, so listen to me. It was said, enter paradise. He said, I wish my people could know of how my Lord has forgiven me and placed me among the honored. And we did not send down upon his people after him any soldiers from the heaven, nor would we have done so. طيب. So now the Shaykh said, rahimahullah, because I think I already did the tarjama. أين نحن أي. طيب. فقتله قومه لما سمعوا منه وراجعهم بما راجعهم به لا إله إلا الله. So his people killed him after they heard him and after he refuted them with what he refuted them with. قيل له في الحال, it was said to him immediately, instantly, ادخل الجنة, فقال enter paradise, فقال مخبرا بما وصل إليه من الكرامة على توحيده وإخلاصه وناصحا لقومه بعد وفاته كما نصح لهم في حياته. So he said, informing of what he had attained of honor for his maintaining the oneness of Allah and his sincerity and his advice to his people after his death, just like he advised them during his life. يا ليت قومي يعلمون, I wish my people only knew بما غفر لي ربي, what my Lord had forgiven me, of how my Lord has forgiven me. أي بأي شيء غفر لي فأزال عني أنواع العقوبات. meaning the amount of things he had forgiven, so he removed any type of punishment. وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُكْرَمِينَ بِأَنْوَاعِ الْمَثُوبَاتِ وَالْمَسَرَاتِ. And he honored me with all types of rewards and pleasures. أي لو وصل علم ذلك إلى قلوبهم لم يقيموا على شركهم. If the knowledge of that has reached their hearts, had only reached their hearts, they would have not been persistent on their shirk. قال الله تعالى في عقوبة قومي. Allah said in addressing the punishment of his people, وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء أي ما احتجنا أن نتكلف في عقوبتهم فننزل جندا من السماء لإتلافهم. Subhanallah, Allah said we did not even need to bother in terms of punishing them by sending soldiers from the sky in order to eradicate them. وما كنا منزلين لعدم الحاجة إلى ذلك. There was no need for that, because there was no need for that. وعظمة اقتدار الله تعالى, and because of the greatness of Allah's ability. وشدة ضعف بني آدم, and because of the extreme weakness of the children of Adam. وأنهم أدنى شيء يصيبهم من عذاب الله يكفيهم, and even the smallest type of punishment from Allah is sufficient basically to eradicate them. We have time. يلا أقرأ.
إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون.
All right, enough. طيب. So it was not but one shout, and immediately they were extinguished. How regretful for the servants, there did not come to them any messenger except that they used to ridicule him. Have they not considered how many generations we destroyed before them, that they to them will not return? And indeed, all of them will yet be brought present before us. Will yet be brought present before us. Type. Because that's the end of it here. Type. So the Shaykh Rahimahullah says, قال الله, unaware, إن كانت أي ما كانت عقوبتهم. So their punishment was none but صيحة, a shout. أي صوتا واحدا تكلم به بعض ملائكة الله. الله أكبر. It was just a shout that some of the angels of Allah said. Some of the angels of Allah shouted. فإذا هم خامدون. All of a sudden they were gone, extinguished. أي تقطعت قلوبهم في أجوافهم. Their hearts got chopped inside their chests. وانزعجوا لتلك الصيحة فأصبحوا خامدين لا صوت ولا حركة ولا حياة. الله أكبر. So they got extinguished. No, they left. They made no sound, no movement, and no life was left in them. بعد ذلك العتو والاستكبار ومقابلة أشرف الخلق بذلك الكلام القبيح وتجبرهم عليهم. All this after what? After this is what they got after their arrogance and their pride, and them reciprocating the most noble of the creation with this ugly speech of theirs, and with them rejecting them. قال الله تعالى مترحما للعباد. Allah says, يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون. أي ما أعظم شقاءهم وأطول عناءهم. Meaning how powerful is their wretched state and how lengthy is their hardship. وأشد جهلهم, and how extreme is their ignorance. حيث كانوا بهذه الصفة القبيحة, wherein they had this ugly trait and characteristic. التي هي سبب لكل شقاء وعذاب ونكال, which is the reason behind every type of failure, every type of punishment, and every type of torment. ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون. يقول تعالى ألم يرى هؤلاء ويعتبروا بمن قبلهم. Do these people not see and reflect and ponder upon those who came before them من القرون المكذبة التي أهلكها الله تعالى وأوقع بها عقابها, of those nations that Allah Azza wa Jal destroyed and sent down His punishment upon. وأن جميعهم قد باد وهلك فلم يرجع إلى الدنيا ولن يرجع إليها. And all of them were eradicated and destroyed, so they never managed to come back to this worldly life, and they will never come back to this worldly life. وسيعيد الله الجميع خلقا جديدا. And Allah will bring everybody back as a new creation. ويبعثهم بعد موتهم, and He will resurrect them after their death. ويحضرون بين يديه تعالى, and they will all be present before Him. ليحكم بينهم بحكمه العدل. So Allah will judge between them with this just judgment. الذي لا يظلم مثقال ذرة وإن تك حسنة يضاعفها. The one who does not oppress even the grain of a mustard, the grain, even an equivalent of an ant or an atom. And if it were to be a good deed, Allah will multiply it. وَيُؤْتِ مِن لَدُنْهُ أَجْرًا عَظِيمًا. And He will give from Himself a great reward. With this, inshallah ta'ala, we will conclude. بإذن الله جل جلاله وتقدست أسماؤه. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll be doing ayat number 33 onwards. So متوجعا, and it's not مترحما. ما يخالف على كل حال. During burial of my grandmother, I think the Imam from mosque was telling us to place dirt and say a certain dua. My mom asked to place dirt on her behalf, and aunt, I knew it probably was bid'ah. 1 out of 2? 2 out of 2? All right, well, we can't find it. Still fell into pressure. Am I sinful for this? Well, it depends on what the dua was. Is it minha, what is the ayah? وفيها, I know there's an ayah that they usually, I don't remember right now. Al-Muhim, you need to tell me what the dua is so we could see whether it is a bid'ah or not. وإليكم بارك الله فيك. I'm not your sheikh here, tolerate mediocrity. You know I'm not your sheikh. I'm your bigger brother, inshallah, older brother. Is it allowed for us to use words, phrases that involve luck or fortune or lack thereof in a colloquial manner, not attaching belief to it? Yes, I am of the position that you could do that, because Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍّ عَظِيمٍ. And none will attain it except one with great patience, and none will attain except people with great fortune. So if you use the term luck, I'm of the position that if you use the term luck or fortune while not believing that luck and fortune are independent of Allah, as though they control things on their own, or someone gets lucky outside of the decree of Allah, if your belief is sound like that, then there's no harm in using the term luck and fortune. I personally am of the position that you can, because how else are you going to translate hadh, which appears in the Quran on multiple occasions? Even when the people saw Qarun, they said that he is a man of hadh. He's lucky in that sense. But if a person believes like the disbelievers that, oh, you got lucky as though Allah had nothing to do with it, then the term lucky and fortunate become problematic. They become problematic. So yes, your question is excellent, and inshallah the answer is satisfactory. إيه أحسنت. منا خلقناكم ومنها نعيدكم ومنها يخرجون. No, that's not what the ayah is. You messed up the ayah, Sheikh. I'll find it later. It's not important على كل حال. I don't remember whether this is from the Sunnah or not. وفيها نعيدكم ومنها يخرجون or تخرجون. I disagree with the take to reflect upon the Quran Ramadan. You have 11 months to learn the meaning. The rewards of reading the Quran Ramadan is unmatched. The scholars of the Salaf would stop their class in Ramadan so they could just read the Quran. So what are you doing here? Why aren't you following the way of the Salaf, and why are you attending this Tafseer class instead of just reading the Quran? Obviously, I didn't stop the classes in Ramadan, and you're here with us. Barakallah feek. Act upon your own advice and go. No problem. I didn't impose on you my opinion. I did not impose on you my opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to follow your understanding of the way of the Salaf. But do yourself a favor and act upon it. Don't waste your time with us, barakallah feek. And try to be better mannered when you want to disagree with someone, akhi. You could disagree with someone, but you could have better manners. Hey, Ustad, if we did something wrong when asking about the Sheikh, oh, please don't tell me it's the same one. Can you please point it out to us and teach us. I just want to know how to go about the situation because I have it before. Ya akhi, when the horse is dead, leave it alone. That's the ayah. منها خلقناكم وفيها نعيدكم ومنها نخرجكم تارة أخرى. That's the one, ya akhi. That's why I knew something was not right. If you're not sure about the ayah, don't quote it, by the way. That's why I didn't quote the ayah, because I wasn't sure. على كل حال, I know that people do this, and I need to go back to the book of Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah, Kitab al-Janaiz, to check whether this is from the Sunnah or not. What we know that the Prophet ﷺ said, ask al-thabat, ask Allah to keep your dead firm, because they are being asked right now. That's what we know from the Sunnah at the time of burial. As for saying that particular ayat while pouring dirt, I need to revise the matter. I don't remember right now. Anyways, ya akhi min al-Muslimin, I don't, the question has become very confusing, and it cannot be addressed every single day. It's like, it's draining, right? I gave you general advice. You need to understand as much of it as you can, because I myself cannot connect the 5 questions regarding the same person over 5 days. You understand? Have mercy on me, bro. Have mercy on me. It's a lot on my plate. So it just became difficult to deal with. Khalas, let it go. If you go back to the initial answers, believe me, I gave you inshallah, a satisfactory answer. Don't dig deeper. Now, how to achieve ikhlas wa ihsan? Well, you achieve ikhlas by knowing that if you do anything for other than Allah, they will not benefit you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So you're basically wasting your deeds. You're wasting your good deeds by doing them for someone who cannot compensate you for them. Only Allah can. Ihsan is by, knowing that Allah says, وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And excel, do good. Allah loves those who excel. Do you want Allah's love? I think so. Be a muhsin. Hey. When does mocking and making memes of Islam becomes kufr? It is very common in social media, unfortunately. Any mocking of Islam is kufr. Any act of mocking Islam is an act of kufr. There's no when. If the religion is being mocked and made fun of in a meme, then it's an act of disbelief. Is the social media full of it? Absolutely. Allah guide them and us. Ya Rabb. May Allah guide us all. Alaikum salam. Is it permissible to look at the face of an unattractive woman while talking to her? Allah musta'an. Yo, those questions hit hard. From what I know, no. You still don't look at her, because the shaitan might still try to beautify her unattractiveness. Because you might even think to yourself like, man, this sister's not pretty at all. But then, it's like, oh, well, her eyes are okay. You understand? Like, you will feel bad and you'll try to find something pretty in her so that you don't feel bad that she's that unattractive. And guess what? You just fell into the trap of the shaitan. So whether the lady is attractive or unattractive, just don't be looking at her. Buy your peace of mind. Khali wali. Now. Astaghfirullah. Allah yahdik ya Sheikh. According to Indian law, wow. Like, why should I even continue the question? Who cares about the Indian law, ya seeker of ilm? My dad inherited 1/4 of my granddad's land, as he is one of 4 brothers, but he also has 5 sisters to whom type. What percent? Habibi, this question you cannot ask to Abu Mussab at the end of a Q&A in a tafsir class. This question has to be given to a qadi, a judge, a person who knows the ilm al-fara'id and knows how to break down and assess inheritance. They are dedicated courts, Islamic courts that handle those matters. They are not to be handled by a caller to Islam on YouTube, for Allah's sake. It will cause more division. What are you going to tell them? Oh, by the way, I asked Abu Mussab, and he said that, da. And they're going to tell you, who in the world is Abu Mussab? And then you show them one of my clips. And they're going to say, this guy, this 17-year-old kid, this is the person that you decided to ask about, the inheritance of a whole family. And I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them if they just saw a video on YouTube and said, man, dude, come on, this is some guy on YouTube. Nah, man, you gotta take this to the proper authorities, bro. You're tripping. إلا هذا الرجال For a woman to lie about her hair color, هل يجوز for a woman to lie? الله يهديك يصلحك يا رجل قسما بالله لولا العيب I would have banned you a long time ago. Okay, I almost feel like you're sitting here just to pull my leg and test me. Like, I don't know where you get these questions from. هل يجوز هل يجوز. I don't know why you cannot say is it permissible. Is it permissible for a woman to lie about her hair color in her passport application, so when the man checks her passport while traveling he would think that her hair is يا رجل قسما بالله العظيم. Skip. How to advise a father who sometimes prays and fasts. Just to answer your question, you can never lie. Okay, you cannot lie. Lying is haram. End of story. How to advise a father who sometimes prays and fasts that this indirectly caused my sister to run from home because mom is strict in regards to religion. She completely doesn't pray nor fast now. So because your father prays and fasts, your sister ran away from home? What? I don't understand. All right, next. In istinshaq, does water have to be sniffed a little, or do you just place water? And is fast valid if water went to my throat while doing wudu? No, the water has to be sniffed. But when you're fasting, you minimize the sniffing. So you're supposed to exaggerate the sniffing unless you are in a state of fasting. You sniffed and the water went to your throat. Did you spit it out or did you swallow it? If you spat it out, then you're all good. And be careful though. Really? I was 1 rak'ah late when I joined the Imam of Asr. However, the Imam prayed 5 rak'at out of his forgetfulness. This made my 4 rak'at already now. Should I do any catch up at all in this case? I don't know. Next. If one prays Taraweeh at home with family and stays until Imam finishes, do they get reward for whole night? If one prays Taraweeh at home with family and stays, how do you pray Taraweeh at home and you stay with the Imam until he finishes? Oh, so if the people at home pray behind the Imam, do they get the reward for the whole night? I also don't know. Because this is supposed to be, technically it's supposed to be for the Imam in the masjid of the Jama'ah. You're doing your own Jama'ah at home, Taraweeh at home, which is allowed. You need a fatwa. I don't know. I wouldn't want to. Wa'alaikum salam. The acquaintance, is this the same guy? Changed the channel name? An acquaintance from Jahiliyyah gave me a gift, box of perfume on my DOB, date of Buribara. I told him I can't accept the gift because today isn't allowed in Islam, because birthday isn't allowed in Islam. Feeling bad, then he went out of his way and I had not informed him prior. Before I physically took it, I said I would accept it as a regular gift and not a birthday gift. No, this didn't happen on the day of. I have not opened till today, feeling bad about it. What should I do with it? Can I use it, throw it, donate it? Allah yahdik ya Ayman the layman. You're definitely being a layman right now because you could have easily accepted this gift. If someone gives you a gift on your birthday while you are not celebrating your birthday, you may take this gift and benefit from it. And you tell them, thank you, that is very thoughtful of you. Just for the record, I don't celebrate birthdays, but you did it. I appreciate your gesture. In the future, please don't trouble yourself because that's not something that I really do. But you also don't break that person's heart and mess them up like that. You could have easily taken it and taken advantage of it and enjoyed it and had a blast. But don't get excited and then do a birthday the following year so you can get more gifts. Is it wajib to take the answer of Sheikh when asked about another Sheikh known to the scholars and known to be Salafi, and the Sheikh says no reasons given when asked? It depends on who you're asking. No, there's no one except that you will reject his call and his answer and his opinion except the Prophet ﷺ. So anyone after the Prophet ﷺ, his opinion is subject to scrutiny. And it is not going to be incumbent on everybody to follow it. So there are different scenarios for that. Who you're asking and who you asked first. What is his position? What is his makana al-ilmiya? What is his status from a knowledge point of view? What is his seniority among the scholars? And who did you ask him about? Are you a layman? Are you a person who's able to look beyond the surface? There's a lot. There's a lot to this situation. So a question that is technical like that cannot be answered, because I will spend 7 minutes giving you different scenarios and it will just be consuming everybody's time. Barakallah feek. Now, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Misti. This is Islamic. There's an Islamic speech happening near me. The woman will be at the back and the men at the front. Is this permissible to attend, or is this free mixing? No, that's fine. If the men are in the front and the women are in the back, that's fine. Allahumma atiq riqabana min nar. Is this dua authentic? I don't recall right now. I know it's said often, but I cannot think of the actual hadith that mentions those very specific words. There's a hadith about Ramadan that Allah Azza wa Jal will yu'tiq unas min an-nar, that Allah will save and ransom people from the punishment of the fire with that wording. But that very wording of the dua, I cannot recall right now. What would recommend in learning Arabic for beginners, specifically conversation reading without tashkil? I don't know. Let my family answer this on the chat, please. I don't know. Wa alaikum salam. May Allah bless you. Ameen. Because I have immensely benefited from your videos. Barakallah feek, especially all the ones. Shukran. Could you please revisit these topics like Sufism and other bid'ah too? Where's part 2? Yeah, Zubair, and answer new questions about they have sown the Barelwi order is misguided the subcontinent extremely. Let me tell you my challenge, yeah, brother Zubair. Those lectures were back when I was working at the Dawah Center and when I had ample time to prepare for them, and when there was a venue that was dedicated to these lectures. And when I was interacting with a crowd that was not online like now. I thrive among humans. I thrive among my brothers and sisters. If you watch my lectures wherein I'm sitting with the Muslims, engaging with them and, giving a talk, and then you watch a class of mine or any of this, you will think it's two different people. So I need to be in front of a crowd of people for me to be able to give lectures like those back in the day. I had the opportunity to do something similar, alhamdulillah, in the UK. In the recent visit to the UK, we addressed some of these topics, and you can see the quality of the lecture is very different than the online classes. Right now, the settings are not such where I could replicate what I did back in the day. It's just not the way. It's just not there. So, Allahu A'lam whether I will ever be in that predicament again, where I am dedicated to da'wah, and then I'm able to do this. Ma'moon said I'm much nicer in person because I actually spent a lot of time with this Ma'moon guy in the UK. And I'm pretty harsh with him on WhatsApp and in the live class. See, that's one thing. I'm actually a nicer guy in real life. So yeah, see, I cannot guarantee that this will happen again, inshallah. Barakallah feek though. Best dua to cure any disease. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس واشف أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء لا يغادر سقما. You could find this particular dua and hadith in the Fortress of a Muslim. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس واشفي. And there's another one. أعوذ بكلمات الله أعوذ بالله وكلماته من شر ما أجد وأحاذر. All of these you find in the Muslim Fortress. There's a chapter on the dua for curing the disease. Barakallah feek. Heard a scholar say that Surah Isra Ayat about Bani Israel, Ayah 4 onwards, possibly predict the end of the current state of Israel. Is this true? No, I cannot. I'm not an expert in eschatology. For me to tell you or to be able to do tanzil of the ayah on the current situation, that requires a alim Rabbani, a senior advanced scholar who has these qualifications, and that is absolutely beyond me. That is absolutely beyond me. And be careful though of people that try to get ayat from the Quran, a hadith from the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, and then tell you, like Imran Hussein and his likes, that tell you, oh, this is regarding this and this applies there. These people have failed many times in the past where they've misapplied certain ayat and ahadith, and this turns the deen of Allah into a joke. This like is basically joking and mocking with mocking the deen of Allah by claiming that this ayah is speaking about this predicament or the hadith is speaking about this event, when in reality it is not. So this is for the very senior scholars to discuss. For the rest of us, we just take it easy. Now, is it okay to delay your salah if you need to pray with a grandparent in jama'ah and they find it hard to pray alone and need to go to a toilet a lot, so it can get difficult to pray on time? Why did you remove the question? I'm not done. That's a tough one. So, well, if you hear the adhan, no, wait. If you hear the adhan of the masjid, go to the masjid. If you hear the adhan of the masjid, go to the masjid and then come back and pray again with your grandpa as a nafila, as a voluntary extra act of worship. You are allowed to pray it as a voluntary act of worship. Even if you want lead in the salah, intend to pray nafil, sunnah. And for your grandfather, that would be their farida, their obligatory prayer. If you can hear the adhan. If you cannot hear the adhan, so you're not obliged to pray in the masjid in the first place, then yes, you may delay and pray the jama'ah with your grandfather. Now, next. How does one become truthful with Allah? I'm reading a book by Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, but don't understand the concept related to heart and limbs besides the tongue. As-sidqu ma'Allah, maybe that's what is being referred to. Well, you become truthful with Allah by truly believing in Him and believing in His names and attributes and learning them and applying them in your life. So, for example, a person believes that Allah is Ar-Razzaq, Allah is the sustainer, provider, but they're constantly doubting their financial state, and they're constantly complaining about their situation. This person hasn't truly trusted Allah. Or they think that the creation are the ones who manage and control their sustenance, and they don't believe that it's Allah who controls the sustenance. So they give and they prefer the means that Allah had made for them as opposed to believing in Allah. This person is not being truthful with Allah. As-sidqu ma'Allah also has to do with if you give an oath or you make an oath, then you remain firm upon it. It's also about you being persistent and by you persevering throughout difficult times and hardship, by you adhering to Islam, even though adhering to Islam will be like holding on to a burning coal, and by you being among the strangers when the people that adhere to Islam become very small in numbers and a minority among the Muslims. They are the strangers among the Muslims. If it's a context of warfare, then a person does not run away from the battlefield. So it could take on different, it takes on different forms depending on your life and what you're going through. But basically, it's that complete trust in Allah that whatever He decrees for you is for your betterment, even if you currently don't like it and don't understand it. Now, is it okay for a Muslim company in a non-Muslim country? Is it okay for a Muslim company in a non-Muslim country make different rules for the Muslims that work there? For example, no pay vacation leave? I don't know. Is there any practical way to look for a second, third, fourth wife? Wow. If we are advised to keep our gaze low, asking for a friend. You scared when you say that you're asking for a friend. Come on, man. Man up and say that you're doing it. What a practical way? Yes, I'll give you a practical way. You go to the masjid, you find an old man and you ask him if he has a righteous daughter for marriage. You communicate with the community. That's why there's a Muslim community in the masjid. That's why you should frequent the masjid. So you could meet the community and you tell them, hey, akhwan, after the salah, you get up, say, akhwan, I'm looking for a second wife. Barakallah feekum. Alhamdulillah, I am capable of muqtadir. I have this, I have that. If anybody's interested, yeah, you could talk to me after we're done. And then you have people standing in the queue. Or there are people looking funny at you. Doesn't matter. Got to do what you got to do. Hey, yeah, James, sure you are. There's a grand mosque I go to. There's a person behind the imam who repeats the takbir eloquently and stretches it after the imam recited in prayer, like Allahu Akbar or go in ruku'. I cannot stand those people. Is it permissible? No, it's not permissible. Can you translate my videos in Urdu and Hindi? Yes. 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 Can you post them? Yes, but share with us also, please. If you're going to make videos, please send them to OneWayToParadise at gmail.com. What is this? Cat, can, fan, ban, Baba. Really, Mustafa? I thought you're going to give him an Islamic lecture. So, yes, you can try, but share with us a copy of them on our email, onewaytoparadise at gmail.com. As for what the imam does, what do they call him? I don't even know what they call him. Ya akhi, may Allah guide them. These people, if you pray ever in the haram, they ruin your salah. Well, I don't even know. The imam has 3 microphones. You could hear him from the other side of the globe, and then you still have this guy behind him. Allahu Akbar. ليه يا ابوي ليه سمع الله محمد ربنا ولك الحمد. ليه we already finished the sujood, we already in the second rak'ah, and you're still stretching it from here to Chinatown. Ya boy, irhamna ya khayyak. We don't want, ya akhi, stop. So if this happens in the haram, we have no control. We have no control over that. Mashi. But in your locality, what the heck are you doing? Why are you bringing some dude behind the imam that's going to literally mess up your salah? Wallah, it's not needed. Ya akhi, wallah, it's not needed. This used to be done back in the day. Every few rows, they will have someone, because the imam didn't have a microphone. So when he might get up from ruku' and sujood, people don't hear. So you have a person who repeats so the people behind can hear it. Not so we can turn this into a voice performance show where you distract the musallin. Ya rajul. Come on now. Don't do this. Don't do this elsewhere. What happens in the haram, قدر الله ما شاء فعل, Allah al-musta'an, it is what it is. You, each one of you in your masjid, in your locality, leave that stuff alone, man. That is not from the sunnah. She just asked me to place dirt into grave on her behalf and friend, and I complied. You could place dirt on you could. It's a sunnah to place dirt after you bury someone. You're not sinful. All right. Hey, it's 11:07, man. I gotta eat. I'm just here to give you an opinion. Didn't mean to be disrespectful. May Allah bless you. No problem, Mr. Abdullah. على راسي من فوق يا شيخ. عيوني لك. On the subject of intercession, interceders, isn't it intercessors? If all intercession belongs to Allah, then why would we need any other than Allah? Who said that the shafa'a is bi'idhnillah? The shafa'a is only liman adhin Allahu lah, to the one whom Allah permits. There is shafa'a for other than Allah. The shuhada will do shafa'a for their family members. The anbiya will do shafa'a for their followers. Many righteous people will do shafa'a for other people. Shafa'a is established in the Quran and the Sunnah. But this shafa'a, it does not happen except to the one whom Allah is pleased with, and to the one who is upon tawheed, and to the one whom Allah allows. These are the 3 conditions mentioned in multiple ayat in the Quran. Tamam? Like the one at the end of Surah believe Al-Waqi'. Na'am. Or Surah Al-Naba was it. Al-Muhim. Ya Jama'ah, khalas, it's 11:09. Assalamu alaikum, Ustad. What should someone do if he gets whispers from shaitan that he's doing certain acts of worship out of riyah, but he's certain that he's doing the ibadah for the sake of Allah? Ignore. Just ignore these whispers and spit to your left and say, A'udhu billahi shaitan rajim, and keep moving, baby. Regarding Surah Abasa, did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reprimand Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam even if he sallallahu alaihi wasallam is from the best of his creation? Yes. Yes. And it is a type of reprimand where Allah wanted for the Prophet ﷺ the best, the absolute best. He did excellent, and Allah wanted the best for him. That's the type of reprimand, not the type of reprimand that you're thinking of that is of extreme negative nature or connotation. Now, what is the ruling on swallowing mucus while fasting? Ew, man. Ew, bro. What do you mean? Oh, ah, oh, oh, why? I was gonna have dinner. What did I do to you? What did I do? Why? Why would you swallow your mucus? What is the occasion? Are you getting it from your nose? Is it like if what is this? Soup it in, sniff it in, or it went from the what are these? From and then it went to. يا أخي, either way you're supposed to spit the nasty thing out. Allah يهديك, spit it out يا رجل, spit it out. إيش هذا؟ إيش eat mucus before. There goes my dinner. There goes my dinner because of my brother. Mucus comes from the head. Mucus gonna come from your foot, yani? I don't think he meant saliva, man. Come on now. Anyways, that's enough for the day. We'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.